y'all. You're listening to Criminalist Behavior Podcast. Today we're on episode number 14, and we're going to be talking about this horrific case of a child reported missing, only later to find out that he was brutally murdered by his closest relatives. If this is your first time listening, hi. My name is Sarah Soudier, and I'm your host for Criminalist Behavior Podcast. I want to thank you for listening to the show, and I hope you enjoy it. So, trigger warning. This episode may contain content of a graphic nature, including descriptions of physical and sexual violence against children, adults, and animals. Listener discretion is advised. It is nighttime, y'all, so bear with me. I am working on it, but I'm trying to get this out to you. And Lord, this case is just horrendous. I remember this case like it was yesterday. And it's just so crazy. This case, like I said, is about Ezekiel Harry. He was 2 years old. He was described as a typical little boy, always smiling and running around. He was bold, tough, and he loved to laugh. He was a lively little boy who loved to dance, go to church, and spend time with his family. And he was the life of the party. He was that little boy. Kids are the cutest. Now, most people say terrible twos, but not all of it is terrible twos. I mean, once we get to them threes, now we can talk. But a typical 2-year-old is such a cute age. Very innocent. Very happy for the most part. Ezekiel's family moved into Louisiana after Hurricane Ida. And neighbors said that they were able to hear yelling between two adults, and that began 2 months prior to this brutal incident, and it worsened every day up until this day. Every day. So it went on, and police got a phone call stating that a little boy went missing, and they started immediately searching for this 2-year-old little boy from Thibodaux who went missing in Houma, Louisiana. The Houma Police Department and Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office started searching the areas of Bayou Terrebonne as well as the Intracoastal Waterway for Ezekiel Harry. And once they started their search, there was no arrest that they could have made because the case was still developing and they had to conduct interviews, but they suspected foul play was being involved, and they received a call, the original call about Ezekiel being missing and possibly abducted near 100 block of Mahler Street. During the investigation, Houma Police contacted the mother, who initially stated she was along Bayou Terrebonne with her kids when a subject in a gray truck passed. She stated that they grabbed her child and left the area immediately. Police said in its investigation that the information as it was being developed and released by the mom seemed to be flawed. They thought that it may have been inaccurate on what the mother was describing. They just had that feeling in the pit of their stomach. Once they arrived at Bayou Terrebonne, which was adjacent from Mahler Street, Maya Jones went to a nearby residence stating that her kid was abducted. Maya Jones is the mother of Ezekiel Harry. Police said Ezekiel was last seen around noon and walking near a track near Main Street and Mahler Street in Houma near the Twin Spans overpass by the Intracoastal Waterway. Now, this is the same area that the mom in our last case threw her 18-month-old off of the bridge. So this is that same area. And like I said, this case happened before she threw her baby off of the bridge. So this happened relatively right coincided with one another. So, I mean, the community was just in very, very much awe that this happened. Investigators encouraged residents within the surrounding areas to be on the lookout for Ezekiel. It was stated that Ezekiel was last seen wearing burgundy shorts, a white and blue striped shirt with orange dinosaurs. An alert for Ezekiel Harris was sent out on that Tuesday, and the investigation led to the discovery. Y'all get ready, trigger warning. The discovery of Ezekiel's Tyler body in a black duffel bag that was placed inside of a trash can on Deepens Street around 6 p.m. Little Ezekiel was placed inside of a freaking duffel bag and thrown in a trash can, y'all. There was surveillance video footage that the police gathered and showed that around noon, when the initial calls for a possible child abduction were received from Maya Jones, with her walking with her other children and a baby carrier on her back, where she told passerbys that her child had been abducted. Officers concluded that the baby carrier that Maya Jones was carrying was freaking empty. So you walking around with an empty ass baby carriage, and how was your child abducted? If he was in that baby carriage, they would have took the freaking carriage, you think, right? Just fishy. The child's body was found 6 hours after he was reported of being abducted by that gray pickup truck. During the initial search for the child, Houma Police Department was assisted by Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office, Louisiana State Police, and the Louisiana Department of Wildlife and Fisheries, and the Coast Guard. So you have all of these agencies coming together to search for little Ezekiel on a claim that somebody in a gray pickup truck just snatched up your child and took off in the area. But you're walking around with a empty baby carriage. That's sus as hell. Sus as hell. The investigation led police to suspect foul play when the mother's statement about a man in a gray truck snatching the child proved to be immediately false. Police said Maya Jones went for a walk with her child and 3 other children from Bayou Street residents earlier in the day. She also stated the boy went missing near Bayou Terrebonne. Y'all, any case involving a child is very distraught to me. I can't even imagine. There is no place that's good enough for a person to do harm to a child. There is no place. I don't understand how people could harm children. Children are so precious. They're gifts. I always said this. Children did not ask to be born into this world. You put them here. You had a choice. You chose life. Pro-life. That doesn't mean you should be able to take their life. That does not mean that. The other 3 children, after this incident happened, ended up with being in the custody of their father, Trey Harry, who lived in Thibodeau. Trey Harry stated that he is being as strong as he possibly could. That was his son, 2-year-old Ezekiel. So now we're going to get to the nitty-gritty. The surveillance video showed that the mother of 2-year-old Ezekiel Harris and her boyfriend were carrying a satchel containing the child's body, according to police, in that video footage. So that black duffel bag that was talked about, yeah, the mother and her boyfriend were seen walking on the street carrying that duffel bag with Ezekiel Harris' body in it. Houma Police Chief Dana Coleman told reporters that the mother, Maya Jones, who was 28 at the time, and her boyfriend, Jermaine Robinson, who was 37 years old at the time, had carried the body of child Ezekiel Harris in a black duffel bag from their home on Bayou Street onto Deepens Street. Footage also shown them returning without the bag 2 hours later. Chief Coleman stated, open quotations, "You can see Maya Jones and Jermaine Robinson carrying that lifeless body of Ezekiel," as he showed clips of the footage to the media. Family members and the community were devastated, and the father's birth side found out about the discovery on that Tuesday evening, and the child's paternal grandmother, after she received that call, was seen as falling to the ground and crying out that she was glad that Ezekiel was found, but the fact that he was murdered just took her legs from underneath her. That's very understandable. So neighbors on Deepens Street say that the police showed up out of nowhere. The homeowner of the property where Ezekiel's body was found in a trash can says she is shook to her core. She stated that she was laying down when all of a sudden this high presence of police was just bombarding her yard. She stated, "I came outside to see, and I seen a lady laying down on the ground beside the trash. After that, the police told me to go back inside my house. I thought the lady was dead, but after that, they came to explain that the lady said her baby was abducted. Then after they interrogated her, she told what happened and brought them to the trash can, which was in front of my house." Can you imagine? You just chilling, watching TV in your house, and all of a sudden you hear all these sirens and all kind of people in your front yard digging through your trash can, and you get told to go to hell inside, but you see a woman laying down by your trash can. You don't know what to think. Hell, you probably thought that woman was dead. Only to know that a child was found in a duffel bag inside your trash can. No. There's no words that could ever describe that's indescribable. There is no chance in hell that I could even put myself in that woman's shoes. I can't. I just really cannot. So, paternal family members of Ezekiel say that there are 3 other kids as well, ranging in age from 5 years old all the way up to 10 years old. So, Ezekiel was 2. And the motive, y'all, that this woman and her freaking boyfriend, the freaking motive, this really makes me mad. Ezekiel was beaten to death because of accidents he was having during potty training. You beat this child and murdered this child, shoved him in a freaking duffel bag, and then tossed him in a damn trash can because he used the bathroom on himself. That's part of freaking potty training, which you would know. You have other kids, 3 more to be exact, ranging ages 5 to freaking 10 years old. And yet you take all of this frustration out on a little Ezekiel, 2 years old. There's no chance. No chance for you. There's no chance for you, woman. There's none. So, Maya Jones, the mother of Ezekiel, 28 years old, her attorneys tried to suppress evidence in the case. They wanted to remove statements from her other children about the abuse that was occurring in the home. They didn't want that to be entered into the trial. Defense attorneys for Maya questioned whether there was probable cause when records from medical facilities, social services, and a domestic abuse organization were gathered by authorities. A Terrebonne Parish judge decided that those records can and will be used in a murder trial against her and her former boyfriend, Jermaine Robinson, who is also accused of the 2-year-old's murder. Family friend Michael Willis stated it seems like justice might prevail after the judge decided to allow the evidence entered into the court docket. Willis stated that the feeling from the family of Ezekiel Harry, who was 2 years old and murdered last July, because this trial happened several months later, at the hands of his own mother, Maya Jones, and her lived-in boyfriend, Jermaine, was just freaking insane. He said it's hard looking at this mom and her boyfriend sitting there with her head held up high, knowing that from the evidence that we hear today, they murdered that 2-year-old. It was revealed that Ezekiel is believed to have been killed inside of a home provided to Jones by the Haven. The Haven gave Maya Jones an home which she shared with Jermaine Robinson, her boyfriend. The Haven helps women who come from domestic violence relationships or need help getting on their feet. This home is supposed to be a safe haven for your children and yourself. Obviously was not the case. The Haven is an organization designed to protect victims of abuse. And according to court records, the home where Jermaine Robinson was living became a place of abuse instead of protection because he was living in that house that was provided by the Haven with Maya. Normally, with these kinds of cases, they stated that they will sometimes say that the district attorney dropped the ball, or police department may have dropped the ball, or the judge may have dropped the ball. But in this case, everybody did their part. Part of the evidence defense attorneys wanted thrown out were statements from Maya Jones and her other children who told authorities that there was abuse happening in the home. And according to court records, the kids were forced to use the bathroom in buckets. They weren't allowed to come out of their room, and they were scared that Maya Jones would find out if they told anything about the abuse happening inside the home. To listen to the evidence of these children speak, Willis stated that it was very distraught hearing that the mother was abusing them, as well as her live-in boyfriend. Court records also revealed that Maya Jones' 3 other kids were under the impression that Ezekiel was sleeping under a blanket inside the carrier last July when they went for a picnic near the bayou. Authorities say Maya Jones reported Ezekiel was kidnapped, but later determined that he was already dead and his body was found inside of a trash can. And according to court records, there were very, very obvious signs of abuse to little Ezekiel. Willis stated, "A kid's life is just so precious. Every time I think about it, it hurts me because when any child gets killed, it's like my own child." Close quotations. I feel Willis on this. Any child. I don't care. I don't care if I know this child, the family. It could be a complete stranger. I feel as a mother, as a woman, as a protector, I cannot allow abuse to happen and not step in. It is our place to step in when we see abuse happening. These children don't have a voice. They don't have a voice. It's up to us to know right from wrong, to report this abuse, to get this taken care of. Take it upon yourself to get involved. These kids need voices. And the little Ezekiel did not have anybody step in and be his voice to get him out of this situation. Neither did those 3 other children. A year after Ezekiel's death, lawmakers passed what is now known as Ezekiel's Law. And this law is designed to reform how child abuse cases are handled in the state of Louisiana. This law is something that families hope will live on in the absence of the 2-year-old that it is named after. justice will prevail, hopefully, is what everyone is thinking. And that they will get the punishment that they deserve. Jones and Robinson were tried separately on first-degree murder charges, and they were facing the death penalty. So now I'm going to tell you a little bit about Jermaine Robinson. Little piece of scum. I mean, there's several other choice words I want to use for this, but I'm trying to keep it PG. Jermaine Robinson, 36 years old, piece of trash ass man. He was in and out of the Lafourche Parish criminal justice system. And in 2017, he was charged with distribution of drugs. 2009, he was charged with second-degree cruelty to a juvenile. Red freaking flag right there. Second-degree cruelty to a juvenile. Baby, if you needed a fucking flag, this flag right here is waving high and red. Like, this flag is flying. This is your fucking flag, y'all. Second degree cruelty to a juvenile. What are you doing with them? You have 4 children. 4 children. But yet you're going to let this man come in the home that was given to you by the Haven to protect you from abuse. His record speaks for itself. What the hell did you see in this man? Jermaine Robinson pled guilty to those charges back in 2009 and 2017. And on the cruelty charge, he was sentenced to serve 5 months. Only 5 months, y'all. At the Lafourche Parish Detention Center. He was sentenced to 11 days on the drug charge, but was credited with the time served. I could care less about the drug charge. Yes, that is the main factor. Hell, that is probably what helped you decide to do this. And all these cases that you got involved in to children. But the fact that you had that charge, cruelty to a juvenile, second degree. No, honey. No, honey. You're worthless. You're trash. You're a waste of freaking space on this damn earth. In Terrebonne Parish, he was arrested in 2005 for a hit-and-run accident. And in 2006, that's whenever he pled guilty for it. He also faced felony charges back in 2016 for armed robbery. But he accepted a plea deal for simple robbery. And he was sentenced 9 months with credit for time served. He's such a freaking winner, y'all. He's a winner. Yeah. We got robbery, cruelty to a juvenile, drug possession, charges selling, hit and run. He's a piece of trash. A piece of freaking trash. In the trial, yeah, this case got me so worked up. Like, I can't. I just can't. I try not to curse in this podcast, but there's some times that I just can't hold it back. And this case right here is one of them. I can't deal with this. The evidence established that the victim was being physically abused by not only Jermaine Robinson, the live-in boyfriend, but by his own mother, Maya Jones. This happened for a period of time, probably throughout the child's whole life. And the department alleges that Maya and Jermaine carried the child's body for hours on the streets of Houma in a black duffel bag and then dumped the bag in a trash bin on Daspit Street. The Terrebonne Parish Coroner's Office determined that Ezekiel had died of head injuries. Head injuries. Little Ezekiel died of head injuries. He was 2 years old, y'all. 2 years old. What can possess you to hit that baby in the head? The abuse was a result of Ezekiel having accidents while he was undergoing potty training, as that's what was being argued. The 2-year-old's body was found inside of that black duffel bag and discarded in a garbage can a block from the Houma Police Department. A block from the Houma Police Department's complex on Daspit Street. Well, you got some balls, bruh. You got some balls, some cojones, putting that a block away from the Houma Police Department, a baby in a duffel bag inside of a trash can. Bruh, you best be on some drugs, because you literally got some mental health going on, bruh. You a scum. Worthless. Very worthless. The Houma Police Department alleges that Maya and Jermaine carried the child's body for hours, and he died of head injuries and discarded in a black duffel bag and placed in a trash bin on Daspit Street. The two were indicted on August 12th on first-degree murder and obstruction of justice and charges of the death of Ezekiel. These idiots pled not guilty. You better not try a fucking sanity plea, because, baby, it's not happening. You lied. You sent these people and agencies on a wild goose chase on a missing child that you killed. Thrown. Whoo, Lord. Maya Jones is represented by attorney Kristen Lehman and senior attorney Louisiana Capital Assistance Center. And Robinson is represented by Carrie Cusita, director of Capital Defense Project of Southeast Louisiana. Well, y'all got a job on y'all hands. How do you represent some scum like that? The case was heard in Judge Jason DeGate's Division B Houma courtroom, and they were trialed separately. The prosecutors, which was Terrebonne Parish Assistant District Attorneys Aber Bud Barnes and Jason Lyons, they responded to the motions of Lehman's team to keep Jones's other children and medical records from being used in the case. Detective Lawrence Arsenault obtained search warrants signed by Judge Timothy Ellender to gather medical records from 5 hospitals, as well as all evidence of communication between Maya Jones and others from the Louisiana Department of Children and Family Services and from the Haven. Maya Jones' attorneys argued that the warrants were too broad. They lacked probable cause and asked for documents to be returned or destroyed. And Jermaine Robinson's attorneys wanted the documents to be allowed in the case. They're seeking the documents because they claim it would help Jermaine's case. Prosecutors argue that the evidence from the investigations led detectives to look into potential child abuse of her other children. Based on information obtained during interviews with Maya's other children, which is little Ezekiel's siblings, it is believed that the abuse did not start with Ezekiel. There was indications that some or all of the children had given statements of previous abuse suffered by the mother, Maya Jones, and the live-in boyfriend, Jermaine Robinson, on one or more of the children. So, the gate allowed the records to be part of the case, and Maya Jones' attorneys filed into evidence 3 children's advocacy center video recordings of her other children. The evidence details 2 of Maya Jones' children allegedly admitted to being abused by the mother's live-in boyfriend, and also admitted that Maya Jones abused them as well. Maya Jones' attorneys argue that this evidence needed to be included because they say she was involved in domestic violence relationship at the time of Ezekiel's death. So Maya Jones, she had a lot on her plate. She was being abused by her treasured boyfriend, Jermaine Robinson. You know, that treasure that she wanted to be all a part of? Yeah. She was being abused too. So what you think is going to happen to your children? This is supposed to be a haven home, a safe place, like I said previously. Yet you allowed this domestic violence to happen to you and your children. You got out of one to get into another. Where is your mindset? I can't. So the previous story that Maya Jones and her boyfriend Jermaine Robinson stood by was pleading not guilty. And a family spokesperson named Michael Willie stated they shouldn't have had a chance to even plead not guilty. They knew they were fucking wrong. They should have just let up and just spoke for their actions. So Maya Jones and Robinson are accused of placing the child's body into the duffel bag and then place it in a trash can in 2022, July of 2022. Investigators say that the child died of severe blunt force trauma to the head. The trial date is set for July of July of this year, 2024. And that trial is going to be for Maya. And Jermaine's trial is set for August 2024. The child's grandmother says she's happy Ezekiel is closer to justice, but each hearing breaks her heart. Ezekiel's father was present in the courtroom at that hearing, but the family says he had to leave abruptly. But he looks forward to the day justice is served for Ezekiel. Yeah. That child's father has to still be here mourning the death of his 2-year-old son, who said that was his boy. And then obviously they got these other children that he has to take care of. I can't be in his shoes to imagine the death of a child, your flesh and blood, killed by the mother who was supposed to be that person to protect them, and you couldn't do nothing to save them. This is just as hard. The child's grandmother stated, open quotations, "Every time I go in court, my stomach bothers me just sitting there looking at the both of them, not knowing what's going on. It really hurts. And sometimes I feel just like getting up." Close quotations. That was Ezekiel Harry, the child's grandmother. Cynthia stated, "It's just aggravating to hear all of this going on. And we're still trying to figure out what made them do that." Cynthia Harry stated that she's still trying to wrap her mind around what happened to her grandson, and his 3 siblings are staying with her, along with their father, Trey. Zeke, and his family referred to him, was so full of life and energy. So his nickname, Ezekiel's nickname, was Zeke. And they stated that they had a great relationship. Every time he came to their house, they stated, Mama, I go in my room." He started banging on the door to go in, and she stated that she would have to open the door and let him come in. She stated that he would come up to everybody. He didn't even have to know you, and he would give you a hug. This breaks my heart, y'all. Such a happy-go-lucky 2-year-old. Just going around, giving everybody hugs. Just full of life. And just taken too soon. Too soon. Whew, let me gather my breath. So Chief Coleman stated, "Whatever happened to little Ezekiel happened in a safe haven of his own home and by the hands of his mother." Terrebonne District Attorney Joe Waits Jr. stated that his office will meet with the family to come to a decision about how to pursue this case. Joseph Waits stated, "I anticipate first-degree murder indictments on both. This is absolutely a potential death penalty case." So, District Attorney Joe Waits Jr. stated that he believes that this case should be, and I believe this case should be, the death penalty. 2-year-old baby beaten in the head. Let me beat you in the head. because that baby didn't deserve it. A neighbor named Playson stated, I could just hear kids screaming and crying in that house. I didn't know what to do. What else could I do? And then 24 hours later, she wonders why no one stepped in before this terrific tragedy even struck. Why was nothing done? Why didn't they do more? More needs to be done. A candlelight vigil was held for Ezekiel, and the community stated that he was taken way too soon. Yeah, 2 years old was taken way too soon. Whew. A social worker named Taranza Glassbert stated, we have to thank God. For 2 years, and in 2 years, he has decided his purpose was to bring us together. One of the religious leaders at the vigil, resident mother and social worker, stated, I am a mother. First of all, I am a social worker. I didn't personally know the family, but I knew of them. It was such a tragedy in our community. Houma stood one the night of Ezekiel's vigil. The community held on to each other for support as tears were shed for the little boy who never got the chance to show the world who he would be. This is our community. This is where we live. And for a tragedy to rock us like this, it is absolutely devastating. The community needs to band together to protect children. If we don't come together, how are we going to protect our kids? We need to stop blaming others that weren't there or didn't do this and just be the damn village that is there, that should be there for these. Sarah Plaisance lived across the way from little Ezekiel, and she said sometimes the yelling in that house was so aggressive that she feared for the safety of the children. She stated that she didn't really see the kids a lot, that they stayed inside a lot, and they kept to themselves. I hope that whenever these things happened that she said, that she called and reported it. I mean, do something. Maybe not physically go over there and get physically involved, but at least let somebody know something. A wellness check could have been done. Something. She did state that she did report the shouting to the police. She said, I called the cops crying and shaking. I said, please send somebody out here. He's going to kill somebody in that house. So she did it, y'all. She reported this, but there was nothing done. Nothing done to prevent this from happening. The father of Ezekiel, he stated he is surrounded by his children at his mother's house in Thibodeau. One is missing, and that, of course, is Ezekiel. His name is Trey Christopher Harry. He stated, open quotations, I just wish I could get my son back. I mean, there's not enough money in the world. I mean, nothing could bring my son back. Close quotations. Whew. That is a statement. That is a statement. Investigators stated that Ezekiel died of the blunt force trauma to his head. Whew. Jermaine Robinson and Maya Jones are facing first-degree murder charge in connection with his death. Harry states that there were times he was concerned when the kids were with their mother. He stated, open quotations, I've been fighting to get them from her, and because of our past of what I dealt with her, like her whipping them for the most smallest little thing, but it would be like a big whipping. The father wants Ezekiel's mother, Maya, to take accountability for her actions. He stated, "You shouldn't still be speechless to it." Even with the jail call that I received from her and asked her, I was like, "Well, can you tell me a few details? Like what happened?" And she just busted out crying. You have the nerve to call this man, the father of little Ezekiel that you murdered, and then you want to cry to him? He deserves answers like what happened? What led you to beat this baby in his head? No. Oh, Harry, you're better than me, baby. Whew. So to cope with the pain, Harry is in counseling, and he says that Ezekiel will always be with him. He stated that just his presence, that was his boy, and still is his boy. He said that he will carry him with him, and he realized that he carried him with him whenever he goes to counseling. He said he carries him with him every day. State Senator Michael Fessy went to that vigil as well, and he pledged to pursue the Ezekiel's law to protect other kids from child abuse. In the state of Louisiana, we had 55 children, just 2021 year, 55 children die in this type of situation from the statistics that he got. He said already in this year, which was 2022, 6 months in, which is half of the year, they were already at 33 cases, which is a 23% increase for child abuse. He said that Ezekiel's name means God will strengthen, and the child behind the purpose of Ezekiel's law is strengthening others even after the toddler's life ended violently in July of 2022. Louisiana State Senator Mike Fessy is from Houma, and he began questioning procedures after he learned that a state agency had been contacted about the welfare of Ezekiel and his siblings being in danger prior to his death. He is determined to make a difference. He dug for facts and became determined to create a law that would protect children like Ezekiel from abuse and bureaucracy in the future. The law introduced to the Senate on April 1st. 2 months later, on June 1st, Ezekiel's law became Act Number 40 when it was signed by Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards. Ezekiel's law builds upon present law related to child and teen abuse with the intent of lowering statistics of child and teen homicides in the state of Louisiana. Prior to Ezekiel's law, the Children's Cabinet coordinated and focused programs and funded for services to kids and families. A Children's Cabinet Advisory Board was to share information and thoughts from advocacy group perspectives, parents and service providers' perspectives, and also provided membership for the board. Ezekiel's law builds upon present law related to child and teen abuse with the intent of lowering statistics of child and teen homicides in the state of Louisiana alone. The legislation passed both the Louisiana House and the Louisiana Senate with 0 nays in response to Ezekiel becoming a law. Child abuse is a community problem. No single agency has the training, manpower, resources, or legal mandate to intervene effectively in all these cases of child abuse. No one agency has the sole responsibility for dealing with abused children. Effective community intervention involves the formation of a child protection partnership that includes professionals who understand and appreciate the different roles, responsibilities, strengths, and weaknesses of other members but cooperate and coordinate their efforts. The most effective approach to cases involving child abuse is interagency coordination and planning. All partners in protecting children must work together with a common concern for the welfare of the child and with a common goal to communicate with mutual respect. Effective teamwork includes having a mechanism for a partner of 25 agencies and beyond to discuss and, if possible, resolve any issues that arise. Ongoing discussions of problems that partners in protecting children encounter during investigations will help resolve them And it will also clarify the roles and responsibilities of partner agencies. The Partners in Protecting Children Subcommittee is established within the Children's Cabinet. And this is to provide a forum for public agencies whose duties include responding to and investigating matters involving child abuse or neglect. The subcommittee meets to consider policies and procedures for responding to and investigating alleged child abuse with the goal of efficient coordination of services and chief objectives being determined on what problems arise and how to meet the needs of any child. So, a summary of Ezekiel's law. The present law provides for a children's cabinet to coordinate and focus those programs funding the services to children and their families. It also provides for the advisory board to provide information and recommendations from advocacy groups and service providers and parents provide for the membership of the board. Proposed law retains present law, which the proposed law is Ezekiel's law. And this adds as members and the assistant secretary for family support and representatives of law enforcement. Ezekiel's law established the Partners in Protecting Children Subcommittee to provide a forum for public agencies whose duties include responding to and investigating matters involving child abuse or neglect. This law provides that the subcommittee shall consider all policies and procedures for responding to and investigating all alleged child abuse with the goal of efficient coordination of services. This law further provides for membership, quorum, officers, and meetings of the subcommittee. Proposed law provides for a subcommittee to make recommendations to the Children's Cabinet through the executive director as determined necessary by the subcommittee, and which may include a request for legislation as appropriate. This proposed law should be known and may be cited as Ezekiel's law. This law came into effect of August 1st, 2023. Sources confirmed that the tentative trial dates were set for Maya Jones, Harry's biological mother, as well as Jermaine Robinson, the live-in boyfriend. And Maya is set to go on trial in July 2024, while Robinson is set to go to trial in August of 2024. Each faced charges of first-degree murder and obstruction of justice. Sources said that in a recent hearing, objections and statements from her other children were allowed into evidence, and those statements show that the home was provided by the Haven, and they were being abused by both the mother and the live-in boyfriend. They gave statements about the ongoing abuse that was happening in the home, saying they were locked in the rooms and sometimes forced to use the bathroom in buckets. They faced the death penalty, and they will not stand their trial together. They deserve the death penalty. They deserve the death penalty. And I'm going to leave you with a quote that was spoken. Though Ezekiel only spent 2 short years on this earth, those who loved him will never forget him and will continue to fight until justice is served. This case was a doozy. It had me all up in my feels. And I do apologize for those choice words that I use, but this case makes me very, very angry. The fact that a mother could do this to their child, and you moved from one domestic violence relationship and got immediately involved in another in a child home that was given to you by the Haven. You beat that baby. You stuffed him in a duffel bag and tossed him away like he was nothing but trash. I have no respect on this. If you enjoyed our show, please rate and review us on all your local podcast apps. We have Spotify, Wondery, Apple, YouTube, Amazon. But be sure to come back. In 2 days, I will give you another case. And y'all, it's another kid case. I need to stop doing this to myself because I get in my feelings and I start crying. And it just really, really, really gets to me. But these cases need to be heard. They need to be heard. We need to do something better to protect our children and the children that are near. It takes a village to raise these children, and some of these children don't even have a single person in their corner. The next case involves a father who kills his children in a blazing fire. Until then, this is your host, Sarah Studier. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to your Louisiana True Crime Podcast, a criminalist behavior podcast. Thank you, and y'all enjoy y'all night. Goodbye.